sandwiches. All available at Walmart.
Dave Packer, ABC News.
This is ONN.
I'm Dave James on the Ohio News Network. Ohio's cyber fraud unit has so far returned $150 million of the $444 million in unemployment benefits stolen by cyber criminals who have defrauded the state of Ohio. Kevin Landers with ONN affiliate WBNS TV in Columbus reports.
David DeVillers is leading the investigation into finding the criminals and the money they stole. Finding the money, he says,
Oakland County, these crews will be helping to fight wildfires across the country, but the threat specifically bad in Northern California, an especially high risk of wildfires across that region. I'm Andrew Kinsey.
Another sign of normalcy returning. The Ritter Planetarium at the University of Toledo is opening its doors to the public tonight after being closed for more than a year. It has a show called Fireball tonight. It's about comets and asteroids. That show runs every Friday evening through August. I'm Dave James on the Ohio News Network.
Calls and conversations continue in less than 3 minutes as the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe continues after this.
1 in 3 adults has prediabetes. 1 in 3. That means it could be you, your football buddy, your football buddy, or you, your best man, your worst man, you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. While 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes, with early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
In a hurry and need to see a doctor? The Woodsdale Health Center and Walk-In Clinic is located across from Little Caesars on National Road. Open 7 to 7 Monday through Friday. Patients can receive primary care, treatment of minor illnesses and injuries, wellness visits and physicals. There's also a lab draw station open from 8 to noon weekdays. A division of Wheeling Hospital, the Woodsdale Health Center is led by family physician Dr. Michael Wilson. Call 304-234-1971. They'll take good care of you.
Do you have foot pain? Foot pain is not normal regardless of your age or job. Podiatric physicians are the most qualified doctors to care for your feet and can provide important foot care solutions or shoe inserts to better manage foot pain. Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association podiatric physicians are located throughout the state and are dedicated to providing the highest quality foot and ankle care. We've been serving the profession and the public for over 100 years. To find a member of the Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association near you, visit associationsadvanceohio.com.
You've been putting back a few, and a few becomes a few too many. For a moment, you think of calling for a ride, but nah, you live nearby. What's the worst that could happen? You get pulled over, your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you total your car, you kill someone. The results of driving drunk are tragic. That's why law enforcement is out there looking for impaired drivers to save lives. So if you think you're okay to drive after a few drinks, think again. Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid for by NHTSA.
Getting a COVID-19 vaccine is the best way to protect you and your loved ones. The vaccines have been tested, they're safe, and they work. And they're available at pharmacies in many locations across West Virginia. Making the choice to get vaccinated means getting West Virginia back to regular life. Here's West Virginia University men's basketball coach Bob Huggins.
The pandemic took away the greatest home court advantage in college basketball, our Mountaineer fans. I'm Coach Huggins, and I'm tired of empty arenas, masks, and social distancing. That's why I got my COVID vaccine. They're safe, free, and available almost everywhere without hassle or delay. Let's work as a team, get vaccinated, and fill a Coliseum next season. I'm Coach Huggins. I got my COVID shot. Now the ball's in your hands.
Get your free COVID-19 vaccine today. Find a location near you. Visit vaccinate.wv.gov.
For all of your IT needs, visit OmniPerforms.com. Omni Strategic Technologies, the only IT company that the Watchdog trusts.
From the watch.
Thank you.
High of 77. Tonight, partly cloudy skies and a low of 58. And for your Saturday, expect a mixture of sun and clouds with a high of 78. And that's your local weather forecast from the Watchdog.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its sponsors.
Morning, sunshine. Why are you so happy?
Glad to wake up in the morning.
Yeah, but it's also
The weekend.
It's about time.
Guess what? 2-day weekend.
This weekend? This weekend. Now that's what I'm talking about.
Thank God it's Friday.
Thank God it's
Friday!
It's Friday. Something to get a rise out of me.
Rise and shine.
And also,
It's showtime!
Opinions, rants, commentary, and interviews. Plus, your complete morning news, weather, and sports. This is the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe in the 100 Days of Summer.
It's still 71 degrees at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport. Cloudy there. 72, a little tiny bump up here at my home studio. 72 and cloudy at the home studios. And 70 degrees and cloudy at the Robinson Autogram Studios, downtown Wheeling, in the heart of the Ohio Valley. The good news is it's going to be a less muggy day today. That's pretty much all the good news. It's going to be a dark and gloomy day. Probably not a lot more rain. Had some rain scattered throughout the area early this morning, but Zach thinks it'll be done by afternoon at least. But it's just going to be a dark and gloomy day, and it's going to be a dark and gloomy, really next 7 days. They're all going to be kind of verstunk-looking days. Some days more rainy than others, but no big, bright, beautiful, sunshiny days like we had for a while. Daytime high today predicted to be 76 degrees, 9:12 in the morning on the Watchdog Morning Show. I want to thank Chief Schwartzfeger and Barry Allen from Ziegenfelders, and also Ron Scott from the Y for joining us this morning in the last segment of the show. Cops, Pops, and Community, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. tomorrow at the Heritage Port, and then and the northern end of town during the day tomorrow. It's Party on the Plaza, put on by the Circus Saints and Sinners, which is continuous music and food trucks and all kinds of things available there. That's a fundraiser for WVU Children's Hospital, new building they're building. So a lot going on. As I mentioned last week, we had the Red, White, and Brew at the Center Market, which was very well attended. I'm just talking in the city of Wheeling, and of course there are lots of stuff happening outside the city of Wheeling as well, which I should spend some more time talking about. Moundsville is really kicking into gear, Biffy. I don't know if you've noticed that or not. Maybe we'll bring John McCabe from the newspaper in on that too. John, it looks to me like Moundsville's kind of picking up their act pretty well as well, don't you think?
Yeah, it seems to be. That's for certain.
They're doing what they call Wandering Wednesdays, which is kind of just to open the streets and playing some music, which I think is nice. I am told their fireworks display was a really good one last week, so good. I'm going to see them picking up as well.
It feels like it. I mean, again, we're this time last year, even though we had restrictions lifted and people were out and about, there was still a lot of caution without a vaccine. But this summer feels like normal. It feels good. I mean, it's good to see that you're getting out and having lunch and in person, and and for Wheeling, the waterfront Wednesdays have been nice when they've been able to actually be outside this year because of the weather. The Ribbon Chicken Festival is nice. The fireworks show, both the legal fireworks show and the illegal fireworks show that nobody seemed to care about, but those were very nice. In Moundsville, I mean, it just feels like communities are doing a better job this year in re-engaging with the public, finding activities for people to do close to home, and and maybe some good things come out of this that give people a sense of just a sense of local, and supporting your local businesses, supporting your hometown, being more involved in your communities, getting to know your neighbors again. Those are things that we had as a society I say moved away from, but not been as good as when you grew up or when I grew up. We kind of moved away from interaction with each other at a stronger, deeper level. But maybe a year of COVID where it was able to re-engage us on the importance of community. So it's really good to see all these things happening.
Yeah, and I think that I think we're going to have a good summer. This coming week, being for Stunk Week notwithstanding, I just think it's going to be. People are out. I certainly, as you point out, it's been so nice to get back out and have lunch in a restaurant again, which I had not done for over a year. See old friends again. And what was nice, I went up to the West Sports Bar, Charlie's place, this week. What was nice was to see other people in there as well. It wasn't just me and the powerful one. There were multiple tables, people sitting at the bar, people at tables having lunch. People are out and about. I think I think we all kind of have come to appreciate that more now, having been shut off from it for a good while.
Yeah, 100% correct. And the PPP and other aid programs that were out there allowed a lot of businesses to stay operational. But I really think most people don't appreciate a handout from the government. They don't want their livelihood to be tied to that. They want to work. They want to, if you're a restaurant owner, you want to run your business. You want to, make people happy with the food you serve them, and and get to know your customers. So I think for everyone coming out of that year of just total upheaval, it's nice to get back to where the problem we have now is we just can't find enough people to work, which is a tough problem. And as you see, a lot of restaurants and others are really struggling right now because of that. But at least it's back to that level of normalcy where people are able to do what they're passionate about.
Yeah, exactly. And again, you see more people out just everywhere. We take a ride through Ogilvy almost every day with our grandson, and people are all over the place. It looks to me like the resort is really doing well. I see folks at Wilson Lodge walking through the park, going down to the playground, going down to the lake, going down to the swimming pool. It's just neat. Wheeling Park's pool was very full during the sunny days, not so much yesterday. Again, just very nice to see it out. 9:17 here on the Watchdog Morning Show. John McCabe from the newspaper's here with me. John, you mentioned big fireworks display.
Yeah.
The official fireworks display put on by the city of Wheeling and also the Wheeling Symphony Concert, which I am told was a good event. But there also was sort of the pre-show. I call it the pre-show that they had.
Yeah, directly across from Heritage Port, the city fireworks. It felt like they started a little later this year. They probably didn't, but when you have kids and they're anticipating it starting, it started around 9:45, somewhere in there. But from about 8 o'clock to about 9:45, we had a nice show directly across over on South Front Street. I'm sorry, some really good commercial level fireworks that were being launched. It wasn't just somebody over there with a Roman candle or some bottle rockets. And as we saw, the fire department, the police department issued only one citation during the 4th of July weekend for use of fireworks, which the message that was given by the fire chief, now the retired fire chief, was that they wanted a stronger fine. Number one, to hope to slow down calls, which, to be fair, calls were down. I think Philip Stahl said slightly, a few less calls.
48 calls.
48 calls.
There were 48 calls of people complaining about fireworks.
Right. But, to me, it's kind of, I'm not sure I understand the exercise of going through council. And quite frankly, what turned out to be somewhat of a contentious issue for council, I'd say more on the personalities involved and less on the actual ordinance. But it did cause some continuing tension among a few council members. And then you only write one citation. So I'll be curious to see, Councilman Palmer, before the numbers came out on Tuesday, had asked for a full report at the next council meeting. And I'll be curious to see what his thoughts are on the report that's given of one citation, several
a handful of warnings. I think they called it in 48 total calls. If that'll make him happy, or if he'll ask for some additional accountability as to why more wasn't done.
Some might make the argument, I don't think the numbers necessarily support it, but some might make the argument that the fear of the increased fine kept people from being worse. I mean, that's an argument you could make, that the fine worked just because the fear of that fine kept people down. And this is purely anecdotal, and I don't like anecdotal evidence, but it seemed to me, just based on my neighborhood, there were more neighborhood-type fireworks this year than I've seen in the past, not less. But that's just, that's a feeling I had just from what was in my neighborhood.
Well, who lives in the representative of your ward, Elm Grove Ward, is Dave Palmer, who was the prime pusher of this ordinance. So that may have just been a little bit of fanfare for Mr. Palmer and his anti-fun agenda. But other than, I agree. I think the thing that I found to be somewhat hypocritical is a strong word, but literally there were half dozen to or more Wheeling police officers at the Heritage Port doing security patrol with 1,500 whatever people were there. But watching the same fireworks that I was and 1,000 other people were, and you just talked to the chief about the new tricycles they have. Tricycles, that's a bad word. Trikes. Trikes, yes. And go across the bridge, go down South Front, and so that's where I guess I'm not. That's where if you're going to pass an ordinance and you don't and it's almost toothless now. I mean they've kind of set maybe set a bad precedent that this was just all pomp and circumstance, and now with no real intention of enforcing.
I was curious on 4th of July, so I fired up the scanner here at home on my phone actually. To listen to police calls. I was curious whether there was going to be calls from our neighborhood, and it was amazing. The scanner was silent, just silent. I said to my wife, well, all the police must be down at the Heritage Port, I guess. I don't know, because there was no activity on the scanner at all. It wasn't the police were being, it's not that they couldn't find the fireworks, which is one of my beliefs, is that this crackdown on fireworks is really hard to do unless you happen to stumble across someone literally putting off a fireworks display. By the time I call and say there's someone, down the street putting fireworks into the sky, they dispatch a cop car, the car comes. It's difficult to actually catch someone.
It is.
In the act.
And one thing that may have been at play here as well is if calls were down and as you said, scanner traffic wasn't all that strong, potentially with the increased fines, and the stronger threat, during council meetings of enforcement, neighbors may have been a little more hesitant to call and complain, to call in a complaint against someone shooting off, because again, a $100 fine, maybe, you don't get mad over that, but $500 could cause a neighborhood rift, could cause neighbors to get upset with one another if it comes back as to who reported you. So that may have been at play as well.
Well, I think I didn't realize David asked for Councilman Palmer had asked for a report to council. Yeah. I'll be curious to see what that might come out to be and how he'll respond to that. I mean, I don't. There was one area here in my neighborhood. I don't know if it's one person or a few people or whatever that were putting serious fireworks off. Mm-hmm. Again, not just little bottle rockets in your neighborhood. I mean, it was going into the sky, but they weren't going up very high. I didn't think they were very good at what they did. And my fear was these things that were exploding were going to. I mean, I know that sounds like I'm over exaggerating, but my fear was they would. Fall on top of a roof or hit into some brush or something and could cause a fire because they were exploding too low. Mm-hmm. They weren't exploding high up in the sky. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. John, let's do a break. When we come back, we've got the homeless liaison, an issue. The mayor said earlier this week to me that you and I have often said we wish that they didn't always have this unanimous vote, so he was happy to provide us with a 4-3 vote. this week
Yes,
on the homeless liaison. We'll talk about that and a few other issues coming up. Our Ohio Valley News Week in Review. It's the Friday Roundtable with newspaper editor John McCabe and I. 924, 70, and cloudy outside.
Plumbers and Steam Fitters Local 83 want... Oil and gas industry here in the Ohio Valley. Plumbers and Steam Fitters Local 83 is 300 members strong and growing. They also do residential, commercial, and industrial work on both sides of the river. For more information, call Plumbers and Steam Fitters Local 83 at 304-233-4445.
Getting a COVID-19 vaccine is the best way to protect you and your loved ones. The vaccines have been tested, they're safe, and they work. And they're available at pharmacies in many locations across West Virginia. Making the choice to get vaccinated means getting West Virginia back to regular life. Here's West Virginia University men's basketball coach Bob Huggins.
The pandemic took away the greatest home court advantage in college basketball, our Mountaineer fans. I'm Coach Huggins, and I'm tired of empty arenas, masks, and social distancing. That's why I got my COVID vaccine. They're safe, free, and available almost everywhere without hassle or delay. Let's work as a team, get vaccinated, and fill a Coliseum next season. I'm Coach Huggins. I got my COVID shot. Now the ball's in your hands.
Get your free COVID-19 vaccine today. Find a location near you. Visit vaccinate.wv.gov.
Does your dog need groomed or walked? Are you looking for a pet sitter or dog boarding options? If so, call Dirty Paws, Wheeling's newest pet care service, providing the Ohio Valley with everyone's pet care needs. Check us out on Facebook at Dirty Paws WHG or call 304-639-7754.
Now, during the Jim Robinson Ford Lincoln Toyota Pre-Owned Super Sale, select from over 80 vehicles in stock starting under $5,000. Most are local trades, many with one owner. Hurry to Jim Robinson at the Highlands, home of lifetime powertrain protection. Now, during the Jim Robinson Ford Lincoln Toyota Pre-Owned Super Sale, select from over 80 vehicles in stock starting under $5,000. Most are local trades, many with one owner. Hurry to Jim Robinson at the Highlands, home of lifetime powertrain protection.
CA House Music has all the gear to make your music legendary. With all the best gear, including Fender, Epiphone, Yamaha, and more, CA House will have you rocking in no time. Get the most for your money with everyday low prices. And we meet or beat internet pricing. Play before you buy and let our product specialists help you pick out the instrument that's right for you. CA House Music, supporting local musicians since 1872. Play music for life.
Dominating both AM and FM, the Watchdog is AM 1600 and 1370, FM 98.1 and 97.7. We are the Watchdog.
Here's a look at the Ohio Valley local news week in review with newspaper editor John McCabe and Howard Monroe.
John, I actually thought they had resolved this resource officer issue in the Ohio County schools before, but I guess according to a story in the newspaper this week with Jocelyn's byline, they've just finalized a resource officer contract. And I thought they were switching to the Wheeling Police and they're staying with the Sheriff's Department. So I was kind of caught by surprise with this.
Well, so they are making a transition is the correct way to kind of think of it. So they are, if you recall, they had 5 deputies in the schools when, this past school year, they're going down to 3. And those 5 deputies, if I recall correctly, were, the County Board of Education was paying something along the lines of $94,000 per deputy. So essentially what they did back in February was extend the contract through the year, because if you recall, they hadn't been working they'd been working without a contract from the beginning of the school year. So they pushed through till the end of this school year, which just wrapped up recently. The new contract they just passed, instead of 5 deputies, now goes to 3 at $60,000 apiece. And to essentially make up the manpower, they will the board and the city of Wheeling will provide, I believe it's 2 additional Wheeling police officers into the PRO mix. So I think the numbers, they may be down 1 total from the past few years, but the transition is essentially going from at a couple schools, a county sheriff's deputy to a Wheeling police officer, which is a little bit of savings, the same level of security.
Yeah, and it'll save a little bit of money to the school system.
Right.
Well, maybe they could put that, into the library.
But we just wrote about that this week. They should be giving money back to the library after that savings they had from the energy, which again above and beyond what they thought. Yeah. Now, to be fair, as we pointed out, that money is part of the bond project. So I think $6.5 million over 15 years in energy savings is what they budgeted to make the bond project work. But at the pace they were at now with the first year savings, they'll be over $9 million roughly. If they have that level every year, so they can surely afford $294,000 to go back to the library.
Do you suppose have they called you? Are they getting tired of hearing us complain about it?
I'm worried they just ignore me now. So, I don't think that, but it's they've made it clear, Dave Croft in particular, that they're not going to change their mind, and if this comes up again, it will come up as part of a bond levy. Separate from the school levy. That doesn't mean that we're not going to continue to point out that we think what they're doing is very wrong, and that they have had several opportunities now to rectify that mistake, and have not. So we'll continue to point that out.
We're clearly seeing from some of these things $600,000 in savings in the energy bill. They got $12 million in federal money coming in. And again, I'm perfectly understanding of how they're all different pots of money, and you can't always use one for something else, but you can adjust things.
Sure.
I guess my point is, what we're seeing is it's not as if the Ohio County school system is strapped for cash. I would feel differently if they were strapped for cash.
Yes, and I think to kind of wrap it up on that end is no governmental agency should be crying poor right now. The only reason Ohio County Schools is crying poor is because they initiated a bond project. It probably hasn't been managed as well as it could have been, and hence to keep this project at a level that the taxpayers can afford. They've had to cut back improvements at Triadelphia Middle. They've had to raid the coffers of the library and do some other things. So, the problems Ohio County is having, I guess just to wrap it up, are problems of, I'm not going to necessarily say of their own making, but problems that deal with, increased cost of construction, number one, change orders, and other things that, again, Triadelphia Middle is the perfect example. What was initially proposed for Triadelphia Middle and what is being done are two vastly different projects.
The Ohio County Commission is looking to do something they've never done before, which is hire someone as their chief financial officer to kind of coordinate all of the finances of the various county agencies, and by that I mean the Development Authority, i.e. the Highlands, the Commission itself, I think the Public Service District, and so on. One of the things I've been hearing from county commissioners, and I think you have too, John, as I've talked to them in the wake of the past year's issues involving Greg Stewart and other things, is that they felt they didn't get a good enough handle on the county finances. They, the commissioners and the Development Authority, weren't getting enough detailed information. So it looks to me like this is their answer to that, is to hire someone to give them a better handle on not just what's in the bank account today, but how it's all divvying up.
Yeah, I suppose this is probably never one, much like we'll talk here shortly about the homeless liaison, never one in this day and age to continue to add levels of government and add new positions if not necessary. This one seems like, again, I think if there's one thing we've learned in the last year, as you pointed out, is things can easily get away from you, especially when you're an elected official and you have a staff that is handling all the work. Ultimately, as the elected officials are responsible for that. So So I'm sure they're looking at this, and again, when you look at adding in the PSC, the Development Authority, I might even argue at some point, why not look and see if we can't have essentially a comptroller's office to handle all of Ohio County government? That would include the city of Wheeling. Maybe we could even look at the municipalities. I'm sure there would be savings there if you did it that way. And I'm sure, given the fact that, the city and county have had a hard time working on things that would never happen. But, that would be, to me, kind of the way to look at it in a much broader scope of how do we make this position maximized fully, and benefit the taxpayers to the best level.
I think as the county commission and the development authority went through the Greg Stewart issue, Greg wanted to take over the Highlands only and not be county administrator, and then that whole thing got scuttled amidst all the controversy we talked about. Mm-hmm. I think that the commissioners began to recognize that they didn't have enough of a handle on the dollars and cents of things. And I think that's what this is a response to.
Sure.
All right, let's do a news break, John, and then I want to get to this homeless liaison story because I've spent a lot of time on this show. I really haven't had a chance to get your take on it, so we'll do that coming up next. It's news time. We'll head over to the Metro News for a quick update. Billy DeFabio's got sports, and we'll continue our conversation on the Friday Roundtable, the Ohio Valley Newsweek in Review, here on the Watchdog Morning Show.
The Metro News Update is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
West in Morgantown are responding to an early morning stabbing downtown.
The incident happened inside the Baby Squirrel Saloon on High Street around 1:20 in the morning. Several eyewitnesses told police that 36-year-old James Henderson from North Canton, Ohio, had pulled a knife and sliced the victim in the abdomen. 23-year-old Adam Tucker of Warrenton, Virginia, was treated on scene and later transported to Ruby Memorial Hospital for a laceration to his midsection. Henderson was taken into custody and charged with malicious wounding. In Morgantown, I'm Dave Wilson,
Johnson had been on the job for almost a year. A federal judge plans to review a case involving the state's new law on syringe exchange programs. The law was supposed to take effect today until the judge extended a temporary restraining order during a hearing yesterday. Metro News statewide correspondent Brad McElhaney.
West Virginia's law will not immediately become active, but the judge kept it in place so that he could further consider what he had heard over those 3 hours and make a more reasoned decision.
The law requires clinics to hold proof of identification for harm reduction programs. And troopers in Raleigh County are investigating a pedestrian death that occurred near the Walmart in Crab Orchard. You're listening to Metro News, the voice of West Virginia. The Great Rubber Duck Race returns to Charleston. The effort is meant to raise money for United Way of Central West Virginia. President Margaret O'Neill says those who adopt a duck for $5 could win a big prize when they dump thousands of ducks onto the Kanawha River.
Those 5,000 ducks will drift gradually down to the levee, and the first duck to cross the finish line, that person will win $4,000 in cash. Second place will be $1,000. Third place will be $500.
The event kicks off September 4th. From the Metro News Anchor Desk, I'm Carrie Hudasek.
Thursday in New York, the Pittsburgh Pirates versus the New York Mets baseball contest rained out. Now the teams will play a single admission twin bill 4:10 on Saturday. And the season's barely half over. JT Brubaker hopefully will start tonight if the two teams play. NBA Finals, game number 2, played in Phoenix. The Suns blasting the Milwaukee Bucks 118-108. The Suns lead that best-of-7 series 2 games to zip, and I'm sure Milwaukee's looking forward to going back home, and they will, for games 3 and 4. Sunday in the European Championship Finals, a great soccer story. In the finals, we have Italy facing England. Now, the bad news for the Italians, the game will be played in London. You talk about a home field advantage for a championship game. I'm Bill DeFabio on sports, and we are the Watchdog.
Getting a COVID-19 vaccine is the best way to protect you and your loved ones. The vaccines have been tested, they're safe, and they work. And they're available at pharmacies in many locations across West Virginia. Making the choice to get vaccinated means getting West Virginia back to regular life. Here's West Virginia University men's basketball coach Bob Huggins.
The pandemic took away the greatest home court advantage in college basketball, our Mountaineer fans. I'm Coach Huggins, and I'm tired of empty arenas, masks, and social distancing. That's why I got my COVID vaccine. They're safe, free, and available almost everywhere without hassle or delay. Let's work as a team, get vaccinated, and fill a Coliseum next season. I'm Coach Huggins. I got my COVID shot. Now the ball's in your hands.
Get your free COVID-19 vaccine today. Find a location near you. Visit vaccinate.wv.gov.
Hi, I'm Sonia from Winging It with Sonia and Olivia. Here's your Watchdog Community Calendar. July 7th, Rush Tribute Band, Sawyer. That will be at Waterfront Wednesdays at Heritage Port. July 9th, Flashback Fridays at Wheeling Park with Pocket Change. July 10th, Ziegenfelders presents Cops, Pops, and Community at Heritage Port. Also on July 10th is Party on the Patio at the Plaza on Market Street. July 11th, Sunday Fun Day at Oglebay at the Amphitheater with Tongue in Cheek. July 16th, Heritage Port Movie Nights, War with Grandpa. July 16th, Center Market Concert Series continues with Horde and Jones. Also on July 16th, Flashback Fridays at Wheeling Park with Eli and the Mojo Kings. You can check out all these events and future events at wheelingcvb.com.
Every weeknight at 6 p.m., join the voice of the Mountaineers, Tony Caridi, on The Watchdog. Tony informs and entertains WVU fans with the latest Mountaineer sports news. If it happens in the world of gold and blue, Tony knows about it and shares it with you. Sportsline, weeknights at 6 on The Watchdog.
We're on air, online, on video, and on demand. Find us where you like us. This is the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe.
Next week on the show, there's some grassroots organizing groups here in the local area are having a picnic for paid leave, talking about the need to have paid family leave. We will talk with some of those folks next week about the picnic, but also about paid leave and how it might work and what it might be about. And on Monday, we will update you on the latest on the big opioid trial underway in West Virginia. We're at what I'm calling the halfway point. It may not, from an actual time point of view, be halfway, but the prosecution has finished their case. I believe today the defense begins to present their case. We'll kind of give an update on that Monday here on the show. Right now, we're looking back at some of the news stories that made the week this past week here in the Upper Ohio Valley, and newspaper editor John McCabe is with me to talk about that. John, the City Council very narrowly, 4-3, approved creating on a resolution a homeless liaison functional zero coordinator. I think that's what they're calling it.
Yeah.
I had the mayor on. I had Rosemary Ketchum on. I've looked at the job description. I'm still having a tough time getting my head around what this position actually is, or why the city needs to be in this position. But I'm curious what your take on this is. You and I haven't really had a chance to talk about it.
Well, I guess my first take is that this is now a thing. This is done. It passed 4-3, which could have been no different from 7 to nothing. So now, the city has now entered into the business of fixing the homeless problem. That has kind of been the underpinning point of all this, is to fix the homeless problem in Wheeling. And I'm not sure how you do that. I don't think anyone's quite sure, or else it might have been fixed by now. Some of the things I listened to, not all of the mayor the other day, but I think some of the things that he said were interesting as they worked through the process. And then I believe it was maybe yesterday you talked about, was it San Bernardino, California, where they...
Sacramento,
Sacramento. Okay, yeah. Where they want every homeless person to be in a home that the city will essentially provide. And I think what we're going to see here kind of ties along with part of that, and I think they're actually seeing it now in Morgantown as well, is this position will advocate to council for the homeless. So I think that will be an interesting, kind of an interesting dynamic as that starts to take place over the next, few months and continues for a minimum of 3 years, as to what types of initiatives this position will ask council and hence the taxpayers to fund to help deal with the homeless problem. So, I find this to be, I don't want to be critical, unlike you, which I find to be extremely funny. I'm trying not to be critical on this because, we hire people in city government, and in this day and age, when they get elected, people want them to fix problems. Nobody likes to see, the people standing on the street corners. Nobody likes to go to the dog park. Name for the owners of your company who, when you drive through there, you've got tents all along the road heading toward Tunnel Green. Nobody likes to see that. Nobody likes to see the trash that's left behind. Nobody likes to think about the fact that people are living in tents in our community. Again, we've asked them over and over, what is the city going to do about this homeless problem? And so now they have an answer. And now they're on the hook because their goal with this has been, they've said we're going to, this is going to work to fix the homeless problem in conjunction with our other agencies in the community. The cynical part of me says, hey, these professional groups, the Kate Marshalls and the Lisa Badias, who have been dealing with this for years and understand it, especially locally, the ins and outs of this, haven't been able to fix it. What makes us think that now throwing taxpayer dollars at it is going to work? But this is where we're at, and I think that the optimistic part of me says maybe they'll come up with some type of solution that helps for whatever they decide they want this to do, to better coordinate the agencies so that they're not working at differing goals. But in the end, I went back through and read several council meetings where they've talked about this. In the end, their goal is to deal with this problem that's in the city, this crisis that's maybe not the right word, this crisis in the city of homelessness. So I think that's a tall task for them. I really do.
It's a serious problem, and again, I put my caveat in every time I talk about it. I am very aware of, concerned about, and want to deal with the problem of homelessness. To me, this position is still so nebulous. I just don't quite know what it is they're doing, and I just ask that there is an undercurrent. Nobody says this out loud. There is an undercurrent, I think, that the agencies tasked with homeless issues, everything from the Greater Wheeling Coalition for the Homeless to Catholic Charities to Project Hope and so on, aren't doing the job. I mean, there's an undercurrent of that. And I guess, like you said, my question would be, why does the city think it can hire someone who could be better? And I also would think, if I'm one of the other agencies, even if I agree that they don't maybe work together enough, I don't know if they do or don't, I would ask myself, why does the city assume it will be the lead?
Yes.
Which is clearly, if you look at the job description template that's been created, Bob Heron will use this as creating actual description, but I mean, the template clearly is to see the city's homeless liaison as sort of being the spark plug, the leader of all homeless issues here. I just don't know quite what makes them think they should, I don't know.
One of the things that I've been a little bit, that's off-putting is not the right word, but just a little concerned about is they did have, they had one meeting of the, Health and Recreation or committee, I believe it was, where they talked about it. They had some discussion at a council meeting, a little more discussion at another council meeting, and then they voted. I think this urge to do something may have caused them to jump a little too quick. That would be one of my biggest concerns, not really giving this full thought as to exactly what we want, and that's where, and I've had a couple conversations with the vice mayor about it and some others, and and they've, there are some real concerns with this in terms of we need to make, making sure there are measurables, making sure that this is a, again, when they talk about a 3-year project, I mean, do they really believe in 3 years homelessness will not be a thing in Wheeling? I mean, that's unrealistic. We both know that. But I really I really feel like it was almost rushed a little bit.
I agree.
And it could have been talked about, thought about, studied a lot better, so that instead of just putting this all on the city manager's lap and saying, okay, Bob, write the job description and fix it, and hire someone to fix it, it just feels like it was rushed in this urge to do something.
Yeah, I called it not ready for prime time. To the mayor last week. To me, it's a good idea, maybe not fully baked yet. That's kind of the way I would look at it. But as you said, it is now a thing. There will be a homeless liaison, functional zero coordinator, and Bob Heron will take this template and kind of work out his own job description and hire someone, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Howard, do you know what in the world functional zero even means? I mean, that's maybe what I'd hope comes out of this as much as anything, is we get an understanding of what in the world functional zero even means. I've read the definition. It might as well be written in in a foreign language that I can't read, because I don't quite understand what it even means. I don't think people who wrote it understand what it even means.
Well, we've talked to Rosemary Ketchum about it here on the show, and she explained it to me, and I kind of sort of get it, but I'm with you. It's just a strange homeless liaison. I get. Functional zero coordinator, I'm not totally sure of.
Yep.
All right, John, good talking to you. We'll do it again. Oh, actually, I will not be here next Friday. So
I will not be here either. Very good.
That'll work out. Thanks,
Howard.
Well. All right, thanks a lot. It is 9 before the hour here on the Watchdog Morning Show. But if you turn my mic off, I'm going to sneeze. Hold on. Right back on. Sorry about that. I felt it coming. I had to do it. Let's go to Bob Westfall from the Big 7, WTRF TV. Good morning, Bob.
Morning, Howard. I will be here Friday.
Okay. All right.
You and me both, Bob. Yeah, I don't have like 10 weeks of vacation like some people apparently do.
Hey, listen. Part of me wants to say I'll trade with you, because next Friday I'm off because they're pulling some of my teeth.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you take that one. Yeah, I'm good.
All right. What are you working on today? What's exciting at the Big 7?
All right. Working on a story today. It looks like after some disagreement, and a little bit of controversy, it looks like the High County Sheriff's Department and the High County Schools have reached an agreement on their resource officers. So we're going to get the update on that today as well. It's one of the stories we're working on this morning. So it looks like there's been an agreement reached between the Sheriff's Department, technically the High County Commission, and the High County Schools.
Yeah, that's. I thought they'd already done that, but I realize now they hadn't. I thought they had already gotten that contract taken care of, but I guess they've just finally finalized it.
Right. So we'll have an update on that. A couple other things we're doing is the Appalachian Regional Commission came out with a release, their annual report. Things still are not great in the Appalachian region, but in some areas they're getting better. We are actually going to talk to Gail Manchin today, who is on that commission, to find out what some of the positive things that are coming out of that report, and still what are the things that we need to do better in the area. So that's a big economic story as we try to push out of the COVID pandemic and get back on with our lives.
Okay, that sounds good.
Fund drive we had a couple weeks ago for Helping Heroes. Got more. I can't thank the community enough. We actually got more. Catherine's going to take that over today. We did find out that they are going to operate a food pantry for the veterans. You have to pre-register with Helping Heroes. But again, another great community organization stepping up and helping us. Helping in our area, so we're going to get all the details on that. We'll have that tonight at 6 o'clock. So we'll have that. And story on the ODNR, protect the chickens.
Excuse me?
Protect the chickens.
You mean like bark, 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 bark?
Yep, High Department of Natural Resources are telling poultry owners to protect their flocks from the same illness that is killing the birds that we did last week or the week before.
Yeah, right.
That may decimate their flocks of chickens.
Oh, wow.
So we're gonna check that out and more of that story too. So protect the chickens.
Oh, I'm a chicken eater. I hope let's protect the chickens for sure.
Yeah. You're not allowed to eat fried chicken, though, right?
I'm not allowed to. Doesn't mean that I don't occasionally drop by KFC, if you understand what I'm saying. But
okay. And you make it sound like a drug deal on the corner of 16th.
You know, to my wife, it's almost as bad. I think it's almost.
I'm sure.
Almost as bad. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it looks like the weather for the weekend's going to be fantastic. Looks like the loveliness is going to finally roll out of here. Sports, West Virginia exhibition game tonight. Some alumni. We had one of the players in here yesterday, Chase Harlett, and we'll have some of the details tonight.
All right, we'll check things out at noon, 5, 6, 10, 11, 5:30 for the statewide show. Always, we keep tabs of things at WTRF.com and on your Facebook page. And as far as the weather goes, man, I have found myself relying more and more on my Storm Tracker 7 app. I just am perpetually checking it for temperatures and sky conditions, and I love the hour by hour, so you kind of see where what's coming up in the next hour or two. If folks don't have Storm Tracker 7, they should add that to their app collection on their phones or their tablets.
Right. Absolutely, yeah. You need both those apps, our new news app and the Storm Tracker 7 app. Honest to God, that's the only one you need. You can delete the rest.
There you go. Well, we don't have an app, so I guess you're right. Okay, you can delete everything else. All right, Bob, I appreciate it. Have yourself a good weekend. Any big plans for the weekend, or are you going to usual just hang out at home kind of stuff?
I've got some work to do around the house, so I'll probably get that stuff done, and then we'll see what Sunday holds, so we'll go from there.
All right. Have a good weekend. We'll talk to you Monday.
All right, guys. Steve, talk to you Monday.
All right. Thanks a lot. Bob Westfall from the Big 7, WTRF TV. Update every morning on what they're working on over at Genesee. Man, I don't want to see the chickens get in trouble, Biffy. How do I say this without getting like if Scott Shallow was here, he'd get mad at me. I'd say, when the birds were dying, it's like, that's interesting, but it wasn't directly bothering me. I don't want chickens to be in trouble. I eat chicken.
Yeah, we can't have another chicken shortage.
No, don't want that. Hey, real quick, speaking of food, we talked this week about Heinz having this petition at change.org so that the number of hot dogs and hot dog buns match, right, when they sell them. The National Hot Dog Sausage Council came out with an explanation this week of why the hot dogs and hot dog buns are not sold in the same amount. And there's actually a reason to it. In the early days when the buns were made, they come in packs of 8 because the buns are baked in clusters of 4 in pans. Okay, so they're baked in pans of 4 designed to hold 8 rolls, and that's why there's only 8 in a package, because of the way that they, at least originally, were baked. Now, I think baking pans now have changed a bit. They come in all different kinds of configurations, so they don't have to live with that. But there actually was a reason. Why were there only 8 buns in a pack when there were generally 12 dogs? It was because of the way the baking pans were made. So there you go. There's a reason for everything. Just have to find it. All right, I think I'm going to find the door. Time for me to say sayonara, see you, bye-bye, farewell. I got to go. I got to get out of here. Kirchhoff's got the comm coming up next here on the Watchdog. Mr. DeFabio is in at noon after the WTRF TV7 headlines at noon. And Dave Weekley is in this afternoon at 5 with or 3 o'clock, I should say, with the hotline. And as for me, as always, good Lord willing, creeks don't rise, bat phone doesn't ring, don't get impeached, don't retire, ticker keeps on ticking. And I don't eat too many hot dogs over the weekend. And most importantly, grandson Teddy says, it's okay, you can go back to work on Monday, Granddad. I'll return Monday, 7 o'clock to the go-round of the big gig. Are you back with me, Brother Biff?
Back Monday, ready to start another week.
We're going to keep on doing it till we get it right.
That could be a long time.
You betcha.
The Watchdog is FM 98.1, AM 1600 WKKX Wheeling, FM 97.7, AM 1370 WVLY Moundsville.
The ABC News is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
From. All right, Biffy. Not a bad show. We made it through. I thought it was pretty good today, all things considered. All right, and wonder how long it's going to be before we can get back in. I'm not coming back anyways, but before people can get back in the studios and the fans turn off, I hope so. I have no sense of what the time frame is on this, so we'll have to kind of wait and see, I guess. I don't know how you can do it. So if you can't, if you can find some way to giving Thursday's show. Or if you can pull out the two interviews from last Thursday, the Hoda, whatever, he was at 7:15, and then the civil engineer guy, and Matt Robeson was at 8:10. If you can pull those out and send me, I don't know. I'd like to send those to those people. If you can't, I get it, not a problem. But if you can figure out some way, it would be helpful. But if not, no big deal. And maybe I'll figure something else out. Anything else going on I need to know about? All right. I guess just have a good weekend, and hopefully things will be dry by Monday. I don't know either. I have not heard. I have not been told. So we'll have to wait and see what's happening next. Bill's show was not too bad yesterday, considering he was really grumpy when I talked to him, and he doesn't know a lot of technical stuff. I thought he managed to handle the show from home pretty well, all things considered. Yeah, at least that's what I thought. All right, pal. Appreciate your help as always. Couldn't do without you. And I'll talk to you Monday. All right, call me if you need me. All right, bye.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to the COVID crisis, we are announcing a low-cost extended service plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay nothing for auto repairs. Call 800-549-1985 now. Drivers who are covered by this auto protection will not have to pay for a covered repair bill again. 800-549-1985.
Research shows people remember radio ads that remind them of the past. So to help you remember that Liberty Mutual Insurance Company customizes your home insurance so you only pay for what you need, here's an ad that'll really take you back.
Back in my day, I heard a voice from the radio say, Liberty Mutual customizes my home insurance so I only pay for what I need. I'm getting on in years now, but heavens to Betsy, there are some things an old fella like me just never forgets.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Officials in Surfside, Florida now say the recovery effort will speed up as crews continue to go through the rubble of the collapsed condo building. The death toll now standing at 64, but there are still 76 people unaccounted for. While the Summer Olympic Games in Tokyo will have to go forward without fans because of COVID concerns, there are hopes that fans might be in the stands for the Paralympics. Those games open August 24th after the current state of emergency around Tokyo expires. The Olympic flame arrived in Tokyo today, and the Olympics start in 2 weeks. Another parent is pleading guilty in the Varsity Blues college admissions scandal. ABC's Aaron Katersky.
Humayun Zada will plead guilty to a charge of filing a false tax return. Federal prosecutors in Boston said he paid $100,000 to get his daughter into the University of Southern California as a phony lacrosse recruit and deducted the payment as a charitable contribution. Zada is a dentistry professor at USC, and until recently, he had been among the holdout defendants who opted to go to trial. In exchange now for the guilty plea, his lawyer negotiated for a prison sentence of 6 weeks. 30 other parents have already pleaded guilty, including actresses Felicity Huffman and Lori Loughlin. Aaron Katersky, ABC News, New York.
General Motors is now recalling more than 400,000 pickups with a problem that could cause side airbags to explode without warning. The recall covers 2015
and 165 Chevy and GMC trucks. So far, there are 3 incidents. Nobody has been hurt. This is ABC News.
Let's be real. Mopping is a hassle. You have to fill the bucket, pushing a wet, heavy mop around, then cleaning the mop when you're done so it doesn't grow bacteria. A hassle on top of a hassle. Try Swiffer Wet Jet. With Swiffer Wet Jet, you start with a fresh pad and cleaning solution every time. And when you're done, you just toss the pad. Swiffer Wet Jet, the faster, easier, cleaner way to clean your floors.
Dave Packer, ABC News.
This is Bill DeFabio, your host of The Variety Show with Bill DeFabio. Heard on the Watchdog Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Join me from noon till 2 to talk sports, nostalgia, and hear from some of the legends of the game. You won't believe who I have on next. The Bill DeFabio Variety Show, heard on the Watchdog Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Tune in and get with the program. I'm Bill DeFabio. Join me for The Variety Show on the Watchdog.
From the Watchdog, here is your local weather forecast for your Friday. Cloudy with the chance of a few afternoon showers, high of 77. Tonight, partly cloudy skies and a low of 58. And for your Saturday, expect a mixture of sun and clouds with a high of 78. And that's your local weather forecast from the Watchdog.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its sponsors.
Good morning. Welcome to Talkline on the Metro News Radio Network.
Do not attempt to change the station. You are surrounded. We interrupt this program to bring you an emergency news bulletin. Repeat, this is an emergency bulletin. Keep your radio turned on.
Holy smoke. From the studios of the West Virginia Radio Corporation and the Metro News Radio Network, the voice of West Virginia, comes the most powerful radio show in West Virginia. This is Metro News Talk Line with Hoppy Kercheval.
Check set lineup link. Activated Telos telephone. Switch network control from Charleston to Morgantown.
Stand by. Q Hoppy. You're on.
Metro News Talk Line with Hoppy Kercheval is brought to you by Enco.